Thank you for joining me today for your week of November 11th crystal scrying. What a week, huh? It's literally been one of the craziest weeks in one of the craziest years. It's hard to top the toppest. As I often like to do at the beginning of the crystal scrying, I'd appreciate it greatly if you would collect within yourself all of the hate, all of the fear, any anger you're feeling, any disruptive energies that you don't want to have with you moving forward. Collect them all and wad them up into a tiny little ball. Make little incense balls out of your bad energies. And just cast them right into this flame. Great. Yeah, great job. Wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Keep going. Awesome. Thank you. It's getting to be that kind of year, that kind of time of year. When it gets cold outside finally, California. Yeah, these are cannabis and white sage. I like these a lot. What do you guys do with incense you don't like? Tell me down in the comments. I have a few batches of incense that I bought that I'm just not into. If you guys have tips or suggestions, rather than just throwing them away, please let me know down in the comments. Try not to dump any more wax on my sheets. Yeah, I like to sit in bed while I do these. It's very relaxing. And as I just mentioned, it's a really cozy time of year. this one smells really good. I admit today it was a toss-up between that and Super Hit, which I also like a lot. Alright, let's talk about the ephemera for the week ahead. So on the 11th, we have the moon in Virgo trine Saturn in Capricorn, and that's going to be when the moon is void, of course. And that happens around 3 or 6 in the morning, depending on if you're on either coasts of the United States. Then the moon's going to enter Libra, and Venus is already in Libra. So there's a quincunx between Venus in Libra and Neptune in Pisces, and that's around 4:30 or 7:30 in the evening. We have the moon in Libra in opposition to Chiron in Aries, and that's going to be around 5 or 8 p.m. And then we have the moon in Libra is going to quincunx Uranus in Taurus. That's going to be around 9:30 or 12:30 at night. On Tuesday the 12th, we have the moon in Libra in opposition then to Mars in Aries. And that's going to be 8:50 or 11:50 in the morning. We have a quincunx then between the moon in Libra and Neptune in Pisces, and that's around 1:40 or 4:40 in the afternoon. We have a conjunction here between Jupiter in Capricorn and Pluto in Capricorn. So this is a very interesting placement. That's going to be around 1:40 p.m. or 4:40 p.m. It's interesting. And then later in the evening, either around 9 or midnight, depending on your coast, both Jupiter and Pluto are going to be squaring the moon in Libra. We also have a conjunction between the moon in Libra and Venus in Libra. So a lot of really interesting energies floating around on Thursday the 12th. And I get more into the actual meanings when I'm talking about the each individual sign. We have a Friday the 13th this week. I hope you're ready. Mars is going direct on that day. So then we have a square between Saturn in Capricorn and the moon in Libra. That's going to be happening in the early hours of the morning when the moon is void, of course. Then the moon's going to enter Scorpio. And there will be a conjunction between the moon and Mercury in Scorpio. And then the moon in Scorpio is going to create a quincunx with Chiron in Aries and an opposition with Uranus in Taurus. Then we have the quincunx with Mars in Aries, and Mars will be direct now, and the moon in Scorpio. Sun is also in Scorpio right now, so then there's a sextile between the Sun in Scorpio and Pluto in Capricorn. And then Jupiter in Capricorn is going to be happening later that day. Sextiles between the Sun and both of those. We have the moon in Scorpio trining Neptune in Pisces. And then we have sextiles between moon in Scorpio and Pluto in Capricorn, Jupiter in Capricorn, and Saturn in Capricorn over the night between the 14th and the 15th. There's also going to be a new moon that night, and it's a Kazemi moon, meaning there's a conjunction between the sun and the moon. That's going to occur either around 9 p.m. or midnight, depending on what coast you're on. And then we have on Sunday morning, very early, a quincunx between Mercury in Scorpio and Chiron in Aries. And then the moon is going to enter Sagittarius. So there will be trine with Chiron in Aries and a quincunx with Uranus in Taurus. And then Venus in Libra is going to square Pluto in Capricorn and Jupiter in Capricorn on the 15th as well. Next Monday is some placements involving the moon in Sagittarius. There's going to be a trine with Mars in Aries, a square with Neptune in Pisces, and a sextile with Venus in Libra. That'll be when the moon is void, of course. And then on Tuesday, there's an opposition between Mercury in Scorpio and Uranus in Taurus before the moon enters Capricorn. And that's going to form a square with Chiron in Aries and Uranus in Taurus. Then on Wednesday, there's going to be a sextile between the moon in Capricorn and Mercury in Scorpio, like right around midnight or around 3 in the morning. There's also going to be a square between the moon in Capricorn and Mars in Aries, and a sextile between the moon in Capricorn and Neptune in Pisces. There's a sextile between the sun in Scorpio and Saturn in Capricorn. And then there's going to be a conjunction between the moon in Capricorn and Pluto. And that sun sextile and then the conjunction are going to be really late at night on the West Coast. So on the East Coast, they'll actually be in the early morning hours of Thursday the 19th. This has been kind of a busy week for me in that I am working right now on the yearly forecasts for 2021, doing tarot readings for those. So I'm hoping to get the first ones of those uploaded Friday, and then I may end up staggering them over the weekend. So you guys will have that to look forward to. I also intend to work on some more path working exercises and a guided meditation. There is an Egyptian funerary text about the Book of Gates. So it's kind of like traveling through the underworld. And I'm very eager to make a video based on this path working. One last thing before we get started. I wanted to just cleanse your energy with this selenite. It's wrapped in copper for conductivity. And again, just kind of combing your aura, the selenite, and just release anything that you don't want to have around you anymore. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. All right, awesome. Hi, Aries. How have you been? This will be for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the week of the 11th through the 18th. This is my solar quartz. It's a slice out of a stalactite. There's some Pisces energy coming through for somebody who is Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This could also be about an energy relating to endings and beginnings, right? Something that's going to be going on for you this week is that Mars is going direct in your sign, and that's going to be on Friday the 13th. We're starting out the week with oppositions between Chiron and Mars in your sign and the moon in Libra. So that energy is going to be about reaching emotional parity and then acting on that. Moon in Libra in opposition to Mars in Aries especially is going to be a little bit complex of an energy because the moon in Libra is all about weighing all of your options, and especially when related to emotional or hidden matters. But then that Mars in Aries really just wants to act. You're going to have quincunx with the moon in Scorpio, and that's going to be on Friday the 13th and Saturday the 14th. And quincunx is that fast-moving, action-oriented energy. So quincunx with Mars in Aries is a good, fast energy that you'll enjoy. It'll be a relief, I guess. Moon in Scorpio is emotional or hidden matters related to death, sex, and other people's resources. Sometimes it has to do with settling an estate or establishing a will. It could be about passionate matters, because like that moon in Scorpio, and then the Mars in Aries is a very like sexual tension kind of an energy. And you're also going to get a quincunx occurring with Mercury in Scorpio and Chiron in Aries. And that's going to be on Sunday the 15th. And that's an exciting energy because there could be some communication relating to, again, death, sex, or other people's resources. And there's some kind of healing going on, perhaps regarding impatience or having started a project and not finishing it. That could even be about a personal relationship going on for you on Sunday. There's going to be an opposition. Oh, no, there's going to be a trine with Mars in Aries, and then the moon in Sagittarius. But then by the time Chiron forms a transit with the moon will be in Capricorn. So that'll be a good, because Sagittarius is a fellow fire sign and is action oriented, much like yourself. It's about higher states of being, and the moon is very good for like astral projection energy and psychic energy. So it could be a good time to take action on a spiritual matter to elevate yourself, but it also has to do with higher education and travel and stuff like that. The moon can be about the arts as well. And then that square between Chiron in Aries and the moon in Capricorn is good to wrap that energy up. Moon in Capricorn being about like hidden business matters, or even like career aspirations, like dreams that you have about your career. And then there's going to be a square between the moon in Capricorn and Mars in Aries. So then you'll be able to act on that. But I am feeling like there's a cycle that you've been all the way through, almost like going all the way through the signs of the zodiac. There's kind of a progression there through the houses, so to speak. And now you're at Pisces. So there's a cycle, I feel like, that is coming to a close for you in the week of November 11th. And you'll be ready to start on your new thing soon. And of course, I mean, any ending that you have, there are going to be complications. And there are going to be things about it that you don't like how they've gone. This has been a really complicated process for those of you who are going through this right now. And while the current events going on around us certainly have some effect on your current state of affairs, your own circumstances. This is mostly like personal stuff that you're going through. Excuse me, so not really impacted by the election or the pandemic or racial injustice. These are just purely personal matters that you're having to live through during a very interesting time in history. And I feel like there's been somebody that you've been counting on to help you through this, And it's not that they aren't a good person, and it's not that they're not a good friend, but I'm sensing a rift between you and this person. And it's not, it's not even like that they don't want to stand by you during this time. I think it's just that, like, both of you have your own things going on, and there's just space between you now that there wasn't before. Or, I mean, it's possible that the space was always there, but you guys just didn't feel it until now, because it's more likely. It's just that you guys just didn't notice there was all this space between you. Now, for some of you, this gap is going to be closing, and for other people, you'll end up going your separate ways. And it seems like there was something that happened before that would have been a harbinger of this dynamic shift. So, before this big event happened, it seems like a while ago, depending on how long you've known this person, that the two of you had a period like this before. So it'll probably end up going much the same way that it did before, except that for some of you it's going to be the end of your time together, which isn't bad. I mean, I feel like this person's very loyal, and so it's not like they lack loyalty to you, but that they have to do what's right for them. And so if they end up leaving your life, it'll be what's best for both of you. And I don't think there will be a lot of sadness about it. I think it'll just be kind of like, all right, see you when I see you, you know. Is there anything else I need to tell Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising about November 11th through the 18th? Get a good pair of shoes, like a good comfortable pair of shoes that you can walk in if you need to, that you could wear to a job interview, but that you could also wear every day. Don't let your casual mindset leak into your wardrobe choices. No judgment on my part, of course. I mean, like, what? I'm wearing a sweatshirt and heat leggings or something, you know, like, I'm not saying that from a place of judgment. But I feel like there are going to be some situations coming up for you in the near future where presenting yourself a little more professionally will be of immense benefit. And that's it for you, Aries. Hi, Taurus. Welcome to your week ahead for November 11th through the 18th. So the main thing going on for you this week is Uranus in Taurus. And there's going to be a quincunx with the moon on the 11th and 12th, depending on what coast you're on. And moon in Libra is like emotional equanimity. And there's that quincunx there, so that's a fast-moving, action-oriented energy. And Uranus in Taurus is, a group kind of deciding the fate of some kind of property. So it might be that there's a situation where you share property with some other people, and you're all going to reach some kind of emotional parity about it, so that nobody's going to feel like they own more of it than anyone else. Then overnight between the 13th and the 14th, which we do have a Friday the 13th where Mars goes direct in Aries this week, followed by a new moon in Scorpio, and there will be a Cazimi moon on that night where the moon is right in front of the sun. This opposition is going to be between moon in Scorpio and Uranus in Taurus, and so whereas that moon in Libra is emotional parity, the moon in Scorpio can be about hidden things. It can be contemplation of mortality. And again, with other people's resources, there could be, on the one day, you reach like a really good agreement, and then the next day, it seems like no one even talked about that. The next placement we're looking at is a quincunx with moon in Sagittarius. And the moon in Sagittarius, it's a very Sagittarius is mutable fire energy. The moon's a very watery, celestial body. But there's this kind of fluidity. It's kind of like the hermit, where you're in a contemplative state about your higher essence, your higher being. You've got this quincunx, which is action, and then Uranus and Taurus. This could be like a religious group, or it could be even something like a coven, or just doing spiritual work with other people, possibly on the 15th. And then the 17th, which is Tuesday, you're going to get an opposition with Mercury in Scorpio and a trine with the moon in Capricorn. And Mercury in Scorpio, again, is similar to the moon in Scorpio, but it's about communication of those things. So it could be some kind of communication about shared resources. And that moon in Capricorn could be a new business venture with a group. So there's just a few things, that are possibilities. Taurus, let's see what's going on with you this week. With my solar quartz. It's a slice of a quartz stalactite. He's here and he's waiting outside for you. And it's like, it's like an administrator. It's It's almost like when the principal himself comes to the classroom and says, I need to talk to Taurus, sun, moon, or rising. And it's a very nerve-wracking kind of a feeling where, like, your stomach drops because you're like, am I in trouble? What's going on? I don't feel like you're in trouble, but I feel like there are some things that you're going to have to explain to this person. But it's actually a very, like, it's not, like, focused on you. It's focused on someone else or on a different situation. But that, and not even that you had a hand necessarily in creating this situation, but for whatever reason, you know what's going on, and you're kind of like an impartial source of information. You aren't going to have, because you don't have immediate agency in the situation, you're more trustworthy than people who are more involved in it directly. And so this person who's in charge, the person mostly in charge, has come to you to talk about this particular situation. But it's, I mean, super nerve-wracking, because when you get a surprise phone call like this, and it's not even a surprise phone call, I feel like this is almost like a surprise house call, that this person shows up because they need to talk to you in person about it. They don't want to talk to you over the phone about it. And I feel like there's a lot at stake. And when this person first shows up, obviously they're not going to be like, hey, I need to talk to you about X, Y, or Z. They're going to show up and they're immediately going to start asking you questions, because there are things that they need to know, and they don't want you to have time to try to guess what answer they want. They need to get, like, the most correct answer possible. But because of the way that they approach you, it's not going to be apparent at first that you are not being blamed for something, if that makes any sense, how I said that. Because he's not going to mince any words. He's not going to be like, so, first of all, nobody's blaming you for anything, and I don't want you to think that you're at fault, but we need to know. Like, there's probably not going to be a lot of that. He's probably going to show up and he's going to be like, hey, look at these accounting reports. Is this what you remember happening? You know, like, there might even be, like, you might even make a tape recording of the conversation. And it could be about some kind of accounting thing, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. It could also be allocation of resources. Like, we noticed that all of these items were used on this day, and nobody signed off on it, or nobody signed for it. And it's something that if they had gone through you, you would have filled out all the proper paperwork, and, you know, but something that might have been done even outside of your chain of command. And it's also possible that that you think you're going to get in trouble because it is within your chain of command, but that because those people circumvented that you're not going to be held at fault. What else do I need to tell Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising about November 11th through the 18th? Hot water is your friend right now. Like, as far as like if you're having issues with the cold weather, make sure you're like drinking hot water, like tea and hot water bottles, and taking baths and hot showers and stuff. But I mostly sense like putting hot water into your body, so like lots of soup and lots of tea, and that it'll be more hydrating than drinking cold water at this time. He really doesn't care about you. He's trying to get these people to admit what they did. And that situation is going to be different for all of you. And it could be a very hard time for you, even though you're not directly involved in it. Like, even just being a witness in a murder trial is super stressful, even if you're not the person who is the murderer. Is there anything else I need to tell Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising about the week ahead, the 11th through the 18th? I think that's it. Just stay safe out there. Hello, Gemini. And welcome to your November 11th through the 18th crystal scrying forecast. There's no specific ephemera for you this week, but Mars goes direct on Friday the 13th, and then there's a new moon on Saturday the 14th, where there will be a Kazumi moon, the sun and moon being conjunct. And that's it for this week. The moon starts in Libra on Wednesday 11th. By Wednesday the 18th, it'll be in Capricorn. Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. What do I need to tell you for the week of the 11th through the 18th? Somebody thinks my crystal scrying is nonsense. Well, whatever. You don't have to watch it. It's free programming. Do what you want. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing the tarot videos once a month. And like I mentioned at the beginning, I'm going to be putting the yearly videos for 2021 out soon, the end of the week. Like, if you're not having a good time, you can just go home. But enough of that. There's some kind of blocked energy. I just hear somebody talking like in my ear about how they don't believe that crystal scrying's real, and they're just talking so much. Like, if you aren't having a good time, you can literally just go home. You don't even have to watch the rest of this video. But please just keep your voice down so other people can enjoy it. Yeah, okay, they've gone outside now. This is a cute little cartoon frog. Yeah, I'm seeing like this little, could be like a plushie, or it could just be a cartoon frog. And wearing a little crown, like the Frog Prince, right? And similar to the Frog Prince, it's like the value of this little cute frog is not in the fact that he's a frog. It's like his cuteness is his value. But it's not like if you kiss this little fake frog that you're going to end up with a prince. The fake frog is pretty much what it is at face value. You're pretty much, that's what you're getting. It's a cute little frog wearing a cute little hat in some cases. The intrinsic value is not its worth, but the way that it makes you feel. And so for all of you, this could be different. That it doesn't matter how much something cost necessarily, it's the way that it makes you feel. There's a lot more qualifying going on with you this week, I feel like, rather than the quantity and the cost differential. And the simple pleasures that you get out of things, especially because the week has been so crazy. I think that a lot of Geminis right now are going through this period of taking stock of the things and the people in your life that are worthwhile to you, and the things and the people in your life that make you feel loved and warm inside and comfortable. And if things start making you feel uncomfortable, there better be a good reason and not a bad reason. Like, it's okay to have stress in your life, but it's important to understand like when that stress is a good thing to, or like when that situation is a good thing to maintain in your life, and when it is better to let it go, because it's not gonna serve you the way that you need it to serve you. And yeah, there's some other people around you that are like, I feel like you're really kind of collecting a group of people around you that are really supportive, and that you're all, invested in a mutually beneficial situation. And it's something that you've been working on for a long time, to get the right people around you, and you're almost there. And sometimes very difficult times can precipitate that better than easy times. During the easy times, like, it's hard to tell if people are really there for you or not, because they're not being tested. So one of the benefits of living in interesting times is finding out who your friends are. Not that I would wish that on anyone. find out who your friends are that way. But it is a thing. We really don't have to work as hard as our ancestors did in some ways. But in other ways, things are much worse. So some things get much, much better, and then some things get much, much worse. And there's always going to be a trade-off there. You can wish for something from the past, but the key is to make the future brighter. People are very resistant to change. Geminis have the benefit of duality. So there's always going to be this aspect of you and like your twin self being able to speak a secret language and come up with the truth, the two of you together, the two halves of yourself. But a lot of people only get one perspective, or they get like their own skewed perspective and are afraid to let in other influences. Much like our naysayer here, I can still hear them out in the hallway. They are really, really like almost screaming, like they're gonna stop me or something. Like I said, if you're not having fun, just go home. Jeez Louise. Oh, that's security. Yeah, security is escorting them out. They called the cops. Well, that's none of my business. I was just hired to come here and give a talk. There's something about an infestation, not in your house necessarily. I feel like there's a workspace that you have somewhere, and this is a time of year when small animals and insects come inside because it's warm, and there are more resources inside right now than outside. And I think that there's a workspace, and it's something that you didn't even think would attract ants. But for whatever reason, it did, and now they are swarming inside this desk drawer. I feel like it's some kind of metal desk drawer. And you're afraid you're going to have to throw the whole thing out. Which is possible. I feel like they're attracted to it, but maybe it's not even necessarily like a food source for them. Even like celluloid film, maybe. I don't know if that attracts insects. But that's kind of the sense that I'm getting. It's something like that. So for some of you, just, pay attention to your workspaces. That's why spring and fall are a good time to kind of do some cleaning, because there are situations like that can crop up. battery center. Yeah, like all your equipment that has batteries in it, pull the batteries out. And spray the terminals with like contact cleaner. And then if you're going to be using it, put the batteries back in. But if you're not going to be using it for a while, leave the batteries out. Because I'm getting like some kind of neglected corner of your workspace. There's a situation brewing that if you like you think everything's fine, but if you don't clean your workspace, and I mean, you don't even have to really like clean it, just kind of like take stock of what's there in your workspace, and anything that has batteries attached to it or in it or whatever, take the batteries out, disconnect the batteries, and check all your desk drawers and make sure that there's not like anything in any of them that's going to facilitate a vermin infestation. Alright, is there anything else I need to tell Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising about the week ahead, the 11th through the 18th? No, that's it. Cancer. Hello. Thank you for joining me for your week ahead. You don't have any specific ephemera for the week, but excuse me, there is a Friday the 13th this week, and Mars is going direct on that day. And then on Saturday, we have the Kazumi moon. There's a new moon in Scorpio that will be conjunct the sun. The moon is going to start out in Libra on Wednesday, and then by Wednesday the 18th, it'll be in Capricorn. So that's your info for the week ahead as it pertains to you, Cancer. What do I need to tell Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising about this week, the 11th through the 18th? Papers and watercolors and markers, and I see a lot of like artistic supplies around you at this particular time, and just, yeah, like kind of papers, but like definitely like somebody working on watercolor or drawing, and all these papers kind of just like spread out around your workspace and your apartment, working on these art projects, but mostly like paper media, not like sculptural art, but like drawing and watercolors and such. And some of you are going to have a big art showing coming up, which is cool. That's really good. I don't know, it's like a virtual gallery space. One of the things that I have liked a lot about being quarantined and restricted in where we can go is that you can do like online live streaming performances and virtual spaces and stuff like that, and it's less makes you less vulnerable than going and meeting with the public face to face. I'm really hoping that even when this situation inevitably changes, that we still have the opportunity to have those virtual spaces, and that people respond to that over face to face. It's just very difficult to vet the public, and I feel like that's something you might be dealing with a lot this week, is negotiating these public spaces that have more boundaries established, and especially as it relates to some kind of art degree or some kind of like, some of you could be working on a BFA or an MFA and you're like defending your thesis, or I don't know how that works with the fine arts. I have a friend, I guess I could have asked her ahead of time, but it's like your big art showing, and so you're putting this thing together, you're putting all these works together, you're going to be like using a high quality scanner or something like that, to put them into this virtual gallery space for this project, because that's going to be a part of it too. If your works don't translate through the online space the way that you intend them, that could be detrimental to the overall effect. And it's something that's really difficult to gauge until you get it like up there. And then if you are untrained in what you're doing, then it's difficult to see where you need to make improvements. I'm not saying that's necessarily the case with you. I just know that's an obstacle that I've run into, is like not being able to look at certain things with a critical eye, because I feel like that's the best that I can do at a particular time, and being more focused on the art aspects of something than being focused on the presentation. I'm trying to find the parity between those things. So I think that's going to be something that comes up for you this week, Cancer, where you have things to present, and you want to give them the best presentation possible. I'm trying to figure out how to do that in this virtual realm. People are going to be very receptive to what this is, I think. But it's going to be within the confines of what system is already in place. So if you put it up there for some kind of college credit and you show it to your professors, you might get your professors look at it and then like 20 other people. and that's kind of the extent. But if you're putting this up with a gallery that already has kind of like an online presence, then you'll get the benefit of that as well. People didn't ask you to be part of something, you just did it on your own without really understanding I'm hearing the consequences, but it's more like, you know, when they'll have an open call for a gallery showing or something like that, usually you just send your stuff in, and I think it was something like that, where there was an open call, but there was also kind of like people who got asked to take part specifically, and you were one of the people who just sent stuff in. And for some reason there's like ramifications to that. Like, but I don't feel like it's bad. I feel like people looked at your stuff and they were like, why haven't I ever heard of you before? Or something like that. How do you already know all these people? I thought I knew everyone that so-and-so knows. And so there's kind of like this preconceived notion that like, well, why haven't I heard of you before? And I guess there's like ramifications to that of like, how do you explain why somebody hasn't met you before? That's mad dumb. But it's how people have started operating in some ways, because of it's really easy, and this goes back to what I was saying about public spaces, is that it's really easy to meet some really horrendous, heinous individuals in public spaces and not know it until it's too late. And so people get very like gatekeepery and defensive about all kinds of things, which is really a shame. But if there were ways to have like more healthy boundaries between people, then you would never find out horrible, horrendous things about others. But that doesn't mean that others are less heinous. So it's just this very difficult kind of like, you're protected, but you're not able to then protect others. Yeah. And navigating these new spaces. But yeah, they're gonna feel like they should have heard of you before. Not that they would have necessarily extended the same invitation to you that they extended to others going into this particular show. It's not that your work's not good enough, but that, and if it's not an art situation, it could be something really similar to that, to where you submit something online and people are like, why haven't I heard of you before? You claim to know all these people that I know and we've never met. But you are coming from a totally legitimate place, and this person is just they're blowing smoke, basically. Is there anything else I need to tell Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising about the week ahead? No, that's it. Hello, Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So this will be your week ahead for November 11th through the 18th. Excuse me, there's no specific ephemera for Leo this week, but there is a Friday the 13th, and that's the day that Mars is going direct. And then Saturday, we get a new moon in Scorpio, and there will be a Cazimi moon where the sun and the moon are conjunct. So it's good for working if you like to do stuff like that. And for those of you who hate the Gregorian calendar like I do, you could also be excited for the start of the month of Hathor in the season of Akhet. Do I need to tell Leo, sun, moon, and rising for the week ahead, November 11th through the 18th? I'm getting a lot of imagery of the Strength card, which is your card in the major arcana of the tarot. Play to your strengths. That's going to be part of it for you this week, but obviously not the whole picture. Things have been very exciting the last week. I don't know if I even fully encapsulated that in my forecast. This week may be no different, honestly. I think things are starting to ramp up now. People have been inside their houses and out of public spaces, and then other people have been just losing it over what's going on. And people are ready for change. People are vastly ready for change. Not everybody, though. I think more than half the country here in America is ready for change. But change is inevitable. And I've been thinking about that. And I'll try not to go on too much of a tangent here because I don't think this is directly related to Leos. I think Leos actually handle change pretty well because you're so confident in who you are and pretty secure in the self most of the time, depending on what your Leo placements are. But the things that people resist about change are, it would happen whether things changed or not. Even if things stayed the same, those doubts and such would still creep in. And security is really an illusion. Security is only as real as what you have in your hand at any given time. And it doesn't even have to do with the world around you. I watch a lot of these. There's another YouTube channel that I like a lot, and it's Mr. Ballin, and he tells all these stories about, some of them are paranormal, some of them are just crazy and scary. And there's always like, they never thought to check under the bed because there was only 6 inches between the bed and the floor. Nobody could fit in there. I started locking my door when I go to the mailbox. But let's get back on track, shall we? Leo, sun, moon, and rising. Yes, this is going to be a period of profound changes. I think most of them good, but not every change can be good. Sometimes things change that don't need to change. But that doesn't mean that change is bad. It just means that change is inevitable. And when changes happen, you are able to notice things that you didn't notice before. When a door opens, you're able to see things that you couldn't see before. And sometimes you open a door and you realize that there's something really heinous going on inside that room that needs to be stopped. But because you didn't know it was going on, you weren't going to stop it. So a lot of things are like that. But for you, Leo, this feels like a very comfortable change. This feels like a change you're embracing. And again, I'm seeing the Strength card, and I chose to use my solar quartz today, and it definitely looks like the radiant rays of the sun. It's actually a slice of a quartz stalactite, but I like to use it for scrying because it's got all these little sparkly places and this part in the middle where the matrix is. And I really like the way that it looks, and I like the way that it feels in my hand. People around you are going to notice, and it's the kind of change where I know I myself have spent a lot of time working on myself. And when you make all these profound changes within yourself, the outside changes that occur are sometimes much more subtle. I feel like this is going to be like getting on a subway car and you start at one location and you're going to end up moving through this change, and you're going to be able to see things passing through the windows, and you're going to get to your destination and be at this completely different train station. And it's going to be that kind of a change. And the ticket that you bought was the changes that you were making within yourself this whole time. And there are going to be different people around you. There's going to be a different setting around you. But it feels good. It feels like a natural progression, and it feels like what you should be doing. So if you've spent any amount of time, like I have, feeling like you were in the wrong place at the wrong time, this is going to be a progression towards your more ideal situation. And it's only going to be happening because you decided to work on yourself and make this happen for yourself. It wouldn't have happened if you had just decided that things were just going to be like this and you didn't want to try to fix anything. But I know I couldn't have taken that route and stayed alive until now. So it could be something like that too. But yeah, this is really profound for you, Leo. And I feel like it's something that's starting this week. But for you, let's see. Is there something going on that I'm just going to flip ahead in the ephemera and see. this might not make a lot of sense to some of you. But this week we enter the month of Hathor, which is, let me see, is this the... I think maybe this page. Yeah. So we are entering the Egyptian month of Hathor. And for whatever reason for you, this starting this week, I feel like this month is going to be very momentous for you as far as all these changes are concerned. And there's a lot of feast days to Hathor. All this month. And it goes until like December 9th. Yeah. And then the next month is Koyak. And that's the month when, a lot of these Jewish and Christian end of the year holidays occur, shall we say. Now, Hathor was the goddess of beauty and love in ancient Egypt. And her name actually means the house of Horus. Now, there are two Horuses. There's Horus the Elder, and then there's the Horus who was the son of Isis and Osiris. But Hathor has a very Leo energy in that there's a lot of creativity, music, love, beauty, romance, passion, a lot of fifth house traits, even children to some extent. And then, of course, one of her other aspects is this goddess Sekhmet. And Hathor and Sekhmet are very linked. They're kind of the same deity, but they're also definitely not. Sekhmet was the eye of Ra that came down and completely destroyed mankind because they were being wicked and bad. But in this particular case, we're talking about the aspects of levity, partying. Hathor was definitely the lady of drunkenness. So a lot of these things that are, so we have like feasts to Hathor starting this week until December 9th. And for those of you who are not necessarily comedic reconstructionists, shall we say, this is a good time to just really, this isn't about kickbacks. This is about blowouts. This is about, like Freddie Mercury's black and white balls. I don't know if that came out right. Does that translate right to you? He used to throw these really lavish parties. Parties like that. And if you're not somebody who takes part in binge drinking, there are other ways to really, get into the party festive spirit. And this is a good time to do that. And of course, it is leading up to these holidays like Hanukkah and Christmas that occur later in December. And I think Diwali is going on soon too, but I'm much less familiar with that. So I don't want to speak to things that I'm not totally sure on. But that is something that I'm really getting for you, is that it's a time of partying and it's a time of change. And you're gonna like party your way through the change so that when you get to the other side, you are splendid, you're sweaty, you're glowing, you're wearing sequins and feathers in your hair, and your eye makeup is running down your face, and one of your heels is broken. And it's going to be that kind of a month for you, Leo. Is there anything else that I need to tell Leo, sun, moon, and rising? Phylactery. Okay, so I made this. It's a Wadjet eye. Wadjet meaning green eye of Horus. Eye paint was used in ancient Egypt, and this was explained to me in a dream not too long ago, that you wear eye paint. It's the same kind of thing as when football players put the black grease paint right here on their face. It cuts down on refraction. And what happens when you are in the presence of Neter, it's difficult to see them straight on because they're divine beings and they don't hold the same physical form that we do, so that you could be like thinking that you're sitting right in front of them talking to them, but they're like over here behind you, they're over there. So the green eye paint was to cut down on the refraction so that you could see this entity in your presence, and to protect your eyes from that being too intense. So it has like kind of a twofold purpose. It's a multi-purpose. And there are going to be things like that, like wearing sunscreen, even though it's fall here in the northern hemisphere. Things like wearing sunscreen, wearing a mask, wear closed-toed shoes if it's appropriate to do that. Wearing gloves if you're like working with harsh chemicals or cleaning. Just be sure that, because when you're going through this period of change and partying, the last thing that's going to be on your mind is your personal safety. But just make sure that you're using the proper phylactery, whether that is a mundane phylactery like a face mask, or whether it is a spiritual phylactery like a cross or a wadjet, or even a scroll tied to your arm. Just be sure that you're not forgetting things like that. And I think that's it for you for this week, Leo. Hello, Virgo. Hello. We're going to be talking about your week ahead from November 11th through November the 18th. Now, early on the morning of Wednesday, the 11th. There's going to be a trine between the moon in Virgo and Saturn in Capricorn. And that, of course, is going to be part of that progression through those 3 Capricorn placements, which actually is going to be switching up a little bit later as Pluto and Jupiter switch places. But for now, it's moving in the same direction, and that's going to be your only major ephemeral placement this week, because then right after that, the moon is going to go into Libra. That's going to occur when the moon in Virgo is void, of course, and this trine position is a very logical-minded energy. Virgo and Capricorn are both very analytically minded signs. Virgo has more of a tendency toward neurosis, but I don't mean that in a cruel or heartless way. And that's going to be occurring very early in the morning. So if you are taking advantage of that placement here in the United States, it's occurring between 3 and 6 a.m. depending on what coast you're on. We do have a new moon this week on Saturday, and that's going to be occurring in Scorpio, and that's going to be a Kazemi moon, meaning the sun and moon are going to be in conjunction, lined up. We also have a Friday the 13th this week, and Mars is going to go direct on that day in the sign of Aries. So all of this really intense, this last week has been crazy. So all of that intense, fast-moving, impetuous, very aggressive energy is going to be moving back direct again. Virgo, what do I need to talk to you about for this week ahead of the 11th through the 18th? I'm getting the impression of like some mauvey, purpley colors, like draping fabric. This could be a really comfortable couch that somebody likes to sit on. I feel like there's cat hair on this piece of fabric, so it could be that this person has a cat or several cats. And it's a really comfortable place to sit and read a book and drink a cup of mocha coffee out of a mug, so not like a Starbucks or something like that. Sometimes you put marshmallows in your coffee. Delicious. I approve. Not that I would judge you for that. And yeah, I mean, up here in the northern hemisphere, it's getting to be time to start bundling up again and going into winter. And here in Los Angeles, it never gets horribly cold, but I know some places it does. This scenario I see, it's kind of like a cabin setting, and it's somewhere that snows, and you're looking forward to basically hibernating for the winter. You're kind of like working from home. I don't have to leave my house. I'm basically just going to curl up and hibernate this year unabashedly, just not even worry about it, and just drink my coffee with marshmallows in it and read books and be snuggly with my cats on the couch. And I think that a lot of you Virgos might be having a very quiet winter. And that'd be a good time for you. Yeah, I'm really not picking up. Even though this week has been very eventful for a lot of people, I feel like for a lot of you Virgos out there, things are actually slowing down, even though there are responsibilities and things to be done. You're settled into your routine now. And I mean, routine is like super important for Virgos, right? And you've got your you have your routine down finally, and you're able to really enjoy this time, not just for yourself but with your cats and being cozy on this couch. And that's kind of the scenario that I'm getting. Obviously it's going to look different for every Virgo, but this being like a very comfortable time. I'm not seeing a lot of change between now and springtime. And I hate to be boring about it. Obviously, I would rather that it be much more interesting, but that might be all that I have for you for this week, Virgo. Which is not necessarily bad. In a year where we've had like a decade's worth of historical events crammed into a 6-month time span, it's not necessarily the worst thing to have happen, right? But yeah, I think that's it for you for this week, Virgo. Sorry to bore you. Hi, Libra. Welcome back. I think last week I said that I wasn't going to call the election, but that some Libra out there who was concerned with social justice matters would get the election results that they desired. So I hope that you are having a good week. We're going to be talking about the 11th through the 18th. Now, as far as the ephemera are concerned for Libra, you're going to have the moon in your sign from the 11th until the 13th. And Venus is also in your sign at this time. So there's going to be a quincunx between Venus in Libra, which is partnership energies, and Neptune in Pisces. This is a very interesting quincunx, because usually that has to do with like fast-moving action-oriented energies. But Neptune in Pisces is not really like a action energy, except where it relates to love and romance. And that's going to be around 4:30 or 7:30 in the evening if you're in the United States. So if you are partnered, or if you have anything planned with a romantic partner for that time period on Wednesday, you guys could be trying something new. There's going to be an opposition between the moon in Libra and Chiron in Aries. So there's, Chiron in Aries and then Mars in Aries. And Mars is going to be going direct this week on Friday the 13th. So this Chiron in Aries opposition is occurring on Wednesday, and then the Mars in Aries opposition is occurring in the morning on Thursday. And Chiron in Aries, as it relates to the moon in Libra, the moon is about emotional parity, moon in Libra, and can be about hidden things coming to light to equalize things. So Chiron in Aries being the things about ourself that are possibly impetuous, starting things and not finishing them, healing those parts of ourselves. And when you have an opposition, you've got like the two things on opposite sides of this kind of scale, like a balance, like Libra, right? So those things are becoming balanced, and then that it'll be around like 8:50 or 11:50 in the morning is when that Mars and Aries opposition is going to come through. So that will be then the action side of that. So then taking that healing energy and bringing it into a place of action. We have a quincunx between the moon in Libra and Uranus in Taurus. Now, Uranus in Taurus is about, can be about communal property. It could be about shareholders in a company. It could be about all of you using a certain pan in the same kitchen. Things like that. And because it's a quincunx, it could be like this is occurring either at 9:30 or midnight, depending on what coast you're on. And it's an action energy, so this could be like setting up a chore wheel. Could be, it's going to be basically like everyone kind of reaching emotional parity about this shared resource. And then there's going to come through the quincunx with Neptune in Pisces and the moon in Libra. So this is going to be slightly different than Venus in Libra because it does involve emotional energies, but it doesn't necessarily involve romantic energies. And that's going to be around like 1:30 or 4:30 in the afternoon of Thursday the 12th. But this energy could be connected to that quincunx as well. It could be the after effects of whatever happens the afternoon before coming through. Then we have a conjunction of the moon and Venus both being in Libra. That's going to happen around 3:30 or 6:30 in the evening. And that is, having to do with emotional states, romantic relationships, and things being equal or just in the situation. So that could definitely also be related to a few of these other situations that we've already talked about. And then the next thing that's coming through is we have that series of placements in Capricorn. Well, so now Pluto is ahead of Jupiter. So first we have the nebulization now, and we have the wealth and expansion coming next, and then the concretion. And that is going to be taking place from either 9 p.m. or midnight of Thursday the 12th until 3:30 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning of Friday the 13th. And Pluto and Jupiter are really close together right now. And then Saturn is, like a few hours behind. And that Saturn square is going to be occurring when the moon in Libra is void of course, right before the moon goes into Scorpio. So what does it mean to have your wealth and expansion come after the nebulization? The nebulization then becomes the catalyst rather than the wealth and expansion. Wealth and expansion then, when that comes in first and creates this chaos, then wherever the chips fall, that is where your concretion then comes in and solidifies everything. But since now the nebulization is first, you're able to pick and choose all of the wealth and expansion attributes that you desire before the concretion. So it'll be a little bit more structured, moving forward. And that will be starting with the moon in Aries this week. There is also a Venus in Libra then is going to be squaring Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn over the let's see. It looks like Venus is only going to be squaring Pluto and Jupiter. Venus in Libra is only going to be squaring Pluto and Jupiter. So there's not going to be that concretion aspect to that. It'll be the nebulization and then the wealth and expansion. And Venus in Libra is a very good placement for that because even though it's a square, the square makes it a difficult aspect in some ways, but it really just creates greater tension where this is concerned. So it might be a little bit uncomfortable, but Venus actually also means money as well. So this could be very good for wealth and expansion coming into your life. And then there's going to be a sextile between Monday the 16th and Tuesday the 17th. There's going to be a sextile between the moon in Sagittarius and Venus in Libra. And that moon in Sagittarius is mutable fire energy and relates to the arts, but also relates to the arts as we use them to elevate ourselves. Sagittarius is ninth house energy of, again, also tied to Jupiter, but not in this case. In this case, the moon talking about emotional states, hidden things, and also the arts. Because Venus in Libra being can be about relationships, romantic things, but those things reaching equanimity. So that's a very good placement for those kinds of things. All right, Libra. So let's talk about your week ahead. Something smells fishy. And I don't mean here in my apartment, because actually I have, you know, like this candle burning and it smells really good in here, but like kind of way up in my sinuses, in my mind's nose, so to speak. My third nose, which is located right here at the bridge, I'm smelling like this kind of fishy odor. Is it something in your house? Like the garbage needs to be taken out? Or is this like a metaphorical, like it smells fishy in here? Something smells fishy. Kind of both. I don't know how many of you have roommates, but some of you might be having one of those experiences where there's a foul odor coming from your roommate, whether it is in their room or in some shared space, but it's not something that you have done. It's something that they've brought into the house or neglected to take care of. And there's this intensely fishy smell. It could be an unplugged aquarium. So this week, going into this week, like if your roommate has an aquarium, I would check on it. Or if they have like a pet, maybe take a little initiative with that pet this week. I don't think that this person is like, I mean, they seem like a nice person. They don't seem like a bad person, but something might be getting away from them this week that's going to cause an intense olfactory experience to explode in your apartment. And it does smell, you know, like if you've been to a fish market, yeah, like that, but like intense. I mean, it could also be a smell coming from a romantic partner. That they need to take care of. And I don't mean any harm or offense when I say that, and I'm certainly not trying to diagnose anything. You know, just check your corners. As I mentioned in the Gemini portion of the video, spring and fall, because vermin have a tendency to come in from the outside when the seasons are changing. It's a good time to do a little bit of cleaning, and you don't necessarily have to scrub everything down, but just kind of doing like an inventory of your apartment or your living space. This is not going to extend down into your car. I feel like you're going to think like, oh, is this coming up from the car somehow? I don't know why you would think that, but or maybe you think it's like spread to the car somehow because of the source of the smell, but it's purely in your apartment. It could be under a sink somewhere. And I feel like the roommate is responsible, but I also feel like in some cases it might just be that something has crawled under your kitchen sink and died. So just keep an eye out for that. The sooner you catch it, the less noxious it will be later. And there were a few people who tried to warn you about this, like, hey, your tank's looking a little sludgy. When was the last time you cleaned it? And your roommate says something like, oh no, I put snails in there and catfish so I wouldn't have to clean the tank. And you're like, So there might be something like that where, not that this person has ill intentions, but that they're not capable of properly caring for this animal captive because they're misinformed. What else do I need to tell Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising about the week ahead, the 11th through the 18th? You're going to get a notice. Some of you are getting eviction notices, possibly, or like a notice of shut off for utilities. But a lot of you have been paying your bills. So it might be an accounting error on their part. Make sure that you've been keeping records. So like, it could even be something where you thought that a bill was set up to auto deduct from your account, and so you checked on it, and the first month the auto deduct worked, and then for whatever reason, a few months down the line, like somehow your bank account got disconnected from their system. So go through and make sure that all of your accounts are properly linked up and that you're not delinquent on any of these payments because of that. Because I don't feel like, I'm not feeling that it's due to financial duress. I feel like not that you have like a ton of money, but that you have enough money to pay for these bills. And for whatever reason, there's been a discrepancy, and you're going to get a notice about something, and you're going to have to go to them and say, now look, here's why this happened, and I have the money, and I'm going to give it to you right now. It's going to be something like that. Oh, Libra. It might be an exciting week for you. I am sorry about that. But sometimes things just need to be taken care of. And it's better to, have a situation crop up that you are able to take care of than to have a situation crop up that is completely out of your control. For some of you, these two situations might be linked too, so that for some of you Libras, it might be that the roommate was in charge of paying a utility bill. And the thing that smells fishy is that you've been giving them money to pay this bill, and they haven't been doing it. So that's going to be something that's a possibility too. And in that case, it could be that you come home and things smell funny because the utility's been turned off. But I don't think there would be a long enough period before you would notice that, unless you had gone on a trip or something or been gone for the weekend. So just see if you can catch up with that as much as possible before it becomes a huge issue. Is there anything else that I need to tell Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising about this week? No, I think that's it. Best of luck to you, Libra. And I hope you have an excellent week ahead. Hi, Scorpio. How are you today? Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So, one thing that's cool is that this week, Scorpio will be hosting both the sun and the moon, and we will have a new moon either Saturday 14th or Sunday the 15th. It'll be a Kazemi moon where the sun and moon are conjunct. So that'll be nice. That'll either be around 9 in the evening or midnight, depending on if you're on the East Coast or the West Coast of the United States. And if you are outside of the United States, you'll just have to see what that means for your locale. The moon is going to enter Scorpio on Friday the 13th. And that is also the day that Mars is going to go direct in Aries. The moon and Mercury are going to be conjunct in Scorpio around 1:45 or 4:45 in the afternoon on the 13th. And this conjunction, it'll be good for communication about emotional things, or hidden things. It could be even about secrets coming out. Scorpios love secrets. Could be about death, sex, or other people's resources, any of those 8th house things. 8th house is also about cycle turnover. So Aries is the beginning of the cycle and Pisces is ends of cycles, but Scorpio is a lot about cycle turnover, so this conjunction could have a lot to do with that. The moon in Scorpio will be quincunx Chiron in Aries, and then Mars in Aries over the night of Friday the 13th to Saturday the 14th. And that quincunx is an action-oriented, quick-moving placement. So Chiron in Aries, healing the parts of yourself that start things and don't finish them. In relation to the moon in Scorpio, that providing you this emotional energy, possibly like a passionate energy, a very physically passionate kind of an energy, could be playing a role in that placement. We have an opposition between the moon in Scorpio and Uranus in Taurus. Uranus in Taurus talks a lot about communal property, and Uranus has been in Taurus for all of 2020 and will continue to be for 2021 as well. And as a matter of fact, with everything that's been going on, I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of that does have to do with communal property rights. So all kinds of shared property, the United States government being one aspect of that. That is our property. So moon in Scorpio, other people's resources and your emotional ties to them could be very much tied up in this opposition, and that's going to be also occurring overnight between Friday the 13th and Saturday the 14th. Sun in Scorpio is going to be Sun in Scorpio and Moon in Scorpio around the same time are going to be sextile Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn in Capricorn. So we had been talking about Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn, but now Pluto and Jupiter have kind of switched places in that. So now we have nebulization. We have the wealth and expansion where you can have more discernment over which parts of that you're able to move forward to your concretion step with. And this again, because it's in Capricorn, that has to do with career and all of those associated things. Capricorns being very analytically minded and very grounded. And that sextile energy with Sun and Moon in Scorpio being very strongly tied to other people's resources. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something quite interesting pop up in the public arena relating to maybe tax codes, legislation about a new stimulus check being sent out. Something like that is entirely possible according to the astrological ephemera at that time. Now, am I saying that that's going to happen? It depends on how strongly you believe in astrology, but based on everything that's going on with Sun and Moon in Scorpio and then these Capricorn placements, that is a possibility. Now, you do also have Mercury in Scorpio, and that's going to be quincunx Chiron in Aries early on Sunday morning. And again, that's communication about these shared or other people's resources, or things regarding cycle changing. And then the Chiron in Aries is about healing things relating to like starting things and not finishing them. So there could have been something that started a long time ago and people never thought it would come back around again. And now this communication is going to come in early on the morning of Sunday 15th with that quincunx. And what else do we have here for Scorpio? Then on Tuesday the 17th, there's going to be an opposition between Mercury in Scorpio and Uranus in Taurus. So we had that opposition on Friday the 13th, kind of in the overnight period. And with this opposition, that might be communication about that same situation. So just keep an eye out for that. And then there is going to be a sextile between the Moon in Capricorn and Mercury in Scorpio. And Moon in Capricorn is your emotional or hidden aspects of career events, right? Or these kind of like, Capricorn being career, but also about like analytical ways of manifesting capital is another way of looking at that. And that might be people talking about this situation that happens over the weekend with that Sun and Moon in Scorpio and all of those Capricorn placements moving through. And then the Sun in Scorpio is going to be sextile the Saturn in Capricorn. So it looks like that is when all of that stuff is going to get wrapped up, is next Wednesday. And it looks like Pluto and Jupiter are very close together, and then Saturn is starting to kind of pull back from them. So getting a longer and longer period in which to manifest that concretion and solidification and establishment. All right, Scorpio. Well, let's look at what to look out for in the week ahead for you, the 11th through the 18th. Someone around you is in this abject misery that you just don't understand. And you want to be there for them really badly. But it's hard because you're looking at the events in their life, and it really seems like not that big a deal to you, you know? Like, this is something that you go through all the time, possibly, and it's not a big deal for you. But for this person, it's like world-shattering. Or it could be something that it's something that you don't understand why this person is so just destroyed by this. You can't figure it out. And they're coming to you and they're saying, but you just don't understand, you know, like, I really just, I don't know how I'm going to live through this. I don't know how I'm going to reconcile the rest of my life with what's going on with me right now. For some of you, it could be a miscarriage. And it's not that you didn't want a baby, but you were kind of like, if that happens right now, that's great. And if it doesn't happen right now, then maybe it'll be right later. So for you, it's not totally world-shattering, but then for your, for the partner carrying the child, it's very intense. And you're trying to be there for them, but because there's this disconnect in your emotions, that the two of you are on very different pages emotionally, that it's very difficult to be there for them in the way that you feel like you should. And that's not a typical response for a Scorpio. Scorpios are usually more like, this is the emotions that I can give you, and if that's not enough, then I'm sorry, I'm just a Scorpio. This is just the amount of emotional response that I'm capable of reciprocating. But for whatever reason, in this case, because it's so devastating to this person, you are really trying to navigate that differently, for their sake, more so than your own. Only your own, as far as like it's going to affect moving forward the relationship that the two of you have, you know. But really, you're like watching this person going through this, and they're really hurting, and you really want to be there for them, and you're trying your hardest, but you're only able to give the kind of emotional response that a Scorpio would give. And that's, I mean, Scorpio sun, moon, or rising. I'm a Scorpio moon, I freely admit that. And it can be a little bit difficult. Not that you're not empathetic to others, but that the way that you provide an emotional response sometimes does not seem appropriate to others. And then the Scorpio response to that is usually, well, that's a them problem, that's not a me problem, which is valid, but that's something you're going to be possibly navigating this week. And again, it doesn't have to be something as life-changing as a miscarriage, but it could be that level. It could also just be like, I failed all of my midterms, and you're trying to be there for that person, and you're just like, well, you don't really want to be a dentist anyway, so why don't you transfer to business school or something like that? And this person's just not having it with you right now because of the emotional state that they're in. Is there anything else that I need to tell Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising? Oh, okay, so part of this that might make it extra difficult for some of you, because again, this is going to look different for every situation. This might be something that is, in your opinion, of their own design. A gilded cage of their own design, so to speak. And so you are like, well, I thought that's what you wanted. You're the one who set your life up to be like this, and you went to a lot of trouble to do it. So why are you so devastated that you have been successful? And that is going to be what you are dealing with, some of you, this week. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And I think that's it for you for this week, Scorpio. Best of luck. Hello, Sagittarius, and welcome to your forecast for November 11th through the 18th. The moon is going to be in Sagittarius on Monday the 16th and Tuesday the 17th. Okay, so that's going to be the moon trine Mars in Aries. Moon in Sagittarius being this mutable fire energy, all about elevating yourself to a higher plane, and Mars in Aries being about taking definite action. Mars in Aries is like an immediate action kind of energy. So that trine, that could be a really good time for spiritual growth, especially because the next placement in the day is Moon in Sagittarius, square Neptune in Pisces, which is a very nebulous, watery energy. And this could be an artistic endeavor that helps you grow spiritually because of the moon placement. You're also going to have a sextile, and that'll be late at night or early in the morning of the 17th. And that's going to be when the moon is void of course. That sextile is with Venus in Libra. So it's possible that this burst of artistic energy that you feel, possibly, leads to a romantic time with a partner. And that is it for your ephemera for the week ahead. Let's get into talking to crystals. Sagittarius. I'm also hearing Aquarius for some reason. So some of you might have a friend or a close confidant or acquaintance who is an Aquarius, or some of you might have Aquarius placement. That's very strong as well. Aquarius is fixed air and Sagittarius is mutable fire, which can lead to a fire tornado, a fire-nado. But I don't feel a destructive energy like that occurring. It seems like the kind of thing that it's like out in the desert and it's very beautiful to behold, and maybe spews forth some your interactions with this Aquarius, because I do kind of feel like they're a separate person, although some of you might have Aquarius placements, and that's what makes you personally like this. But that there is an alchemy that occurs between the Sagittarius and Aquarius energies that can be at times prophetic, and at other times give you insight into other people's states of being. But most of the time it's like a burning bush kind of energy, like Moses and the burning bush out in the desert. And you are given to this ecstatic vision in their presence. And that could be you and another person, or like I said, it could be these two aspects of your own energy combining in this way. And is there a catalyst for this? Just like if it's you and a separate person, it's like whenever the two of you come together in the same place. Maybe not as much when you interact through phone or text message or email or something like that. And then for those of you where this is two parts of your chart, the catalyst is some kind of... The catalyst is the moon transit. So anytime the moon is in Sagittarius, and this could be if you're Sagittarius moon, but it really applies to Sagittarius sun, moon, and rising. So anytime that the moon is in Sagittarius, this Aquarius placement then comes into play. What about when the... Yeah, so I'm not sure, like, if you have any Aquarius placements that are planetary. But if you are a Sagittarius rising, then Aquarius is going to be your third house of communication. So that would be appropriate for that, for sure. And I feel like there are ways that this helps you for sure, but a lot of the time it just kind of... It's like you'll open your mouth and something weird will come out. And so if it's you and another person, if you guys are hanging out with a group of people, they'll be like the only one who gets it, and you'll be the only one who gets it when they say something like that, and it'll kind of alienate the two of you from the group. And if it's just you, then it kind of alienates you from the people around you. But there's this thing that happens where you open your mouth and these words come out that just come off weird and disconcerting, even if what you're saying isn't necessarily weird or disconcerting. It could be a somewhat normal thing to say, but the way that it's said is somehow what puts people on edge. What else do I need to tell Sagittarius, sun, moon, and or rising about the week ahead, the 11th through the 18th? The month of Koyak is coming up. We're entering the month of Hathor right now. And Koyak is going to fall on the Gregorian calendar between December 9th and well, into next year to the 4th, I think. No, to the 9th of January. Now, some of you are going to have your birthdays in the month of Koyak, and some of you are going to have your birthdays in the month of Hathor. The month of Koyak is important because that's when the death of Osiris occurs. And it's a time when all of these fertility festivals, like the corn mummies, if you know about corn mummies, the Osiris mysteries is what they call. So things like making the corn mummies and finding the Wadjet eyes and weaving the burial cloth and Feast of Ta Sokar, all of these things that go along with preparing the coffin and the unguents, which is like perfumes to go in the tomb. And this is an important thing to think about, the renewal that we're all going to be participating in at the close of the Gregorian year and the opening of the new year. And I know that a lot of you are excited for the winter festivals. And I bring up the Osiris mysteries because there's going to be kind of more like a shadow period going on around all of these winter holidays this year specifically. And so although you're going to be excited for Christmas and the gift giving and Hanukkah and any other festivals that you celebrate over the winter, there's also going to be this kind of, not like a sadness, kind of like a depression, but also mostly like this overarching somber feeling. And this isn't specific to this week, but it's what I am feeling like I need to be talking to you about right now. I've been watching this old show called Ultraman with my husband, and toward the end of the series it gets very intense because they've killed all these monsters over the course of the show, and Ultraman is basically like symbiotically tied to one of the characters, And so, of course, like when he becomes Ultraman, he goes off and is not there with his crew. But they end up having killed all these monsters by the end of the show, and there's an episode where the overseer of all the monsters decides to like bring all of them back to life at once, and they have literally like 5 hours to get to this place where they have to battle him. And they have this ally who's named Pigmon, he's kind of a kaiju, but he's small, like a human size, not like big, like a kaiju size. And he ends up getting killed on that show. And the further into the series you get, it's actually quite dark in some places. And one of the scenes was that they were having actually a memorial to the fallen kaijus, all the kaiju that Ultraman had defeated and flung into space, and now they were deceased. And it was very somber, and that's kind of the mood that I'm feeling for you for December. That Ultraman is a very entertaining show to watch if you're into that sort of thing, which I like it, of giant robots and monsters fighting each other in latex suits, and the sounds that they make are always very entertaining, and all the different kinds of monsters and what their different powers are, and then how Ultraman is able to defeat them. So while there is a certain level of levity, because it will be a holiday season, there's also going to be a level of sobriety to it. What else do I need to tell Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the week ahead, the 11th through the 18th? Something about your car insurance or your car registration. Somebody's car insurance or registration is up for renewal, and there's going to be like extra costs involved. So just be ready for that. Or it might be like you have to go and get your emissions done or something like that. That's not going to be for all of you. That's just going to be for somebody in particular, a few of you, you know. What else do I need to tell Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the future, for the week ahead? Give yourself something extra this week, whether it's extra Starbucks, a nice pair of slacks, a book you've had your eye on that costs like $100. I know that you have this expense coming up, but just treat yourself. It doesn't have to be big. Just something, you know what I'm talking about. I think you've had your eye on something in particular for a while, and you should treat yourself. All right, that's it for you, Sagittarius. Have a great week. Hi, Capricorn. Welcome to your week ahead for November 11th through the 18th. Now, some things are going on in your sign. It's mostly that there is this continuation of those 3 transits, except that now here with the moon in Libra and this series of squares, Pluto and Jupiter have changed places. So now we have nebulization coming before wealth and expansion. So things becoming very unclear and then all of a sudden exploding off into wealth, and then Saturn bringing concretion in. So things are becoming a little bit more defined, a little bit more structured on the other side of that. And then there's going to be sextile placements on Saturday and Sunday that are with the moon and the sun both in Scorpio. So that's going to be very good for that progression of energy that we've been talking about a lot this year. And then Venus is in Libra too. So Venus in Libra is also going to be forming squares to the Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn placements in your sign. And the way that Venus in Libra energy is going to differ is that it's going to be a bit more about relationships and how relationship parity, equality within relationships, and defining that is going to affect that in your career path. So then on Tuesday the 17th, Capricorn is going to, or the moon is going to enter Capricorn. So there's going to be squares between the moon in Capricorn and Chiron and Mars, both in Aries, on Tuesday and Wednesday. That's going to be happening. And moon in Capricorn, of course, being emotional or hidden things, can be about astral projection and psychic abilities as well as it relates to career. So then with Chiron in Aries, that being starting things that you don't necessarily finish, resolving that about yourself, and then Mars in Aries being a very action-oriented energy. Those are going to be square transits, square placements. And so square is a very, it's called a difficult energy, but the reason that it's difficult is because it's uncomfortable. It requires work. So in this particular case, I think that square will be good for this placement. And then there's going to be a trine with the moon in Capricorn and Uranus in Taurus, and that's going to occur overnight between the 17th and the 18th, Tuesday and Wednesday. And Uranus in Taurus is about shared resources, people determining the fate of shared resources. And so for the moon in Capricorn, it could be working out scheduling. It could be, it's more to do with a workspace, emotional things in your workspace than like a home space. So that'll be something to consider at that time. Moon in Capricorn will then also be sextile Mercury in Scorpio, and that's going to either occur at midnight or 3:30 in the morning, depending on which coast you're on, if you live in the United States. Mercury in Scorpio being, again, possibly discussion of shared resources or other people's resources. And so, or estate planning, something like that. So that could be what ends up wrapping up that situation with Uranus and Taurus trine. And then we have a sextile between the Sun in Scorpio and Saturn in Capricorn. That's going to be occurring pretty late at night. And that energy will tie up everything that occurs over the weekend. So if there is some kind of because the sun and moon are forming these sextile placements with Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn, it looks to me like something might happen regarding shared financial situations on a national or global scale. Something like tax code being passed or a stimulus check being announced or something like that. Although that is just what the astrology looks like to me. It's astrology. It's not stock analysis, that's for sure. But that sextile placement between the sun in Scorpio and Saturn in Capricorn will be wrapping up all of that circumstance. And then to further solidify, the moon in Capricorn is going to be conjunct Pluto in Capricorn around the same time. Let's look at the crystal and see what we can hope to have coming into the picture this week ahead, the 11th through the 18th. Capricorn, I feel like you got slapped in the face. I feel like you got slapped in the face by somebody. And if this wasn't physical, because a lot of us are socially distancing right now, it could be like a metaphorical slap in the face. Like a comment on a video or a post or something like that just really stung and took you by surprise, that you weren't expecting. Or that somebody ended up doing something that was a slap in the face to you this week. And I feel like it took you by surprise more than anything else. I don't know that this is necessarily a person that you even really take their opinion into account, but that this person would say something so stinging to you, seemingly out of the blue, was shocking. And you're probably just gonna turn off your phone that day and put it down and walk away. And of course, I don't wish that on anyone. Obviously, as somebody who runs a YouTube channel, I have people from time to time say things that are needlessly hurtful to me. And I'm not getting that sense here, though, about this particular, whatever this is. It's something that is very deeply personal to you, but maybe they didn't realize that it was going to be like that. It might have been said in good faith and just ended up really touching a nerve with you. And it's almost the kind of thing that if you went back and read it an hour later, it wouldn't even have the same effect. It was just shocking the first time you read it, like a slap in the face. I'm not sensing a lot of malice around this slap in the face. I'm sensing more like a sense of justice around it. Like this person how do I put this? This This person feeling like they need to put you in your place about something, or correct something that you've said, or correct a wrong, what they perceive to be a wrong-headed way of thinking on your part. And it's possible that they have a point. And it doesn't look like... Here, I'll show you. See this right here? Can you see that? It's hard to pick up the reflection on camera, but you can kind of see it a little bit, right? They don't have any kind of agenda by saying this. Or I guess, like, there's not malice behind them saying this, and there's not really any kind of agenda. On the one hand, it's not like their own agenda. It's like a it's less like an opinion and more like a way the winds are shifting. So it's something that this person has said to you because they feel like... Alright, let me put it to you this way. I read... Yes, I am on Tumblr. No, I will not tell you my username. I mean, I don't know, maybe I would. Doesn't matter. I saw a post on there about trans exclusionary radical feminists, TERFs. And it was like, if I message you and I tell you that this blog is run by a TERF, I'm saying that to you because I assume that you care. And it's that same kind of deal where this person is saying this to you under the good faith assumption that you are a decent human being and that you just might not have considered all angles of the situation, and that's why you have this belief that they believe to be wrong-headed. In some cases, this is going to be really gray. Like, really gray. Like, something that you would have had to have experienced personally to understand why that is not a good way of thinking. Like, non-violent drug offenders should be allowed to work off their sentences. Well, that just leads you to, like, this quasi-legalization of slavery, right? Because then you can just basically bust people for non-violent drug offenses and force them into labor. But on the surface, they make these ideas look really good. And that's why you might, at first glance, and even with some insightful analysis, come to a certain conclusion that is not rooted in the reality of what a situation ends up being. That it's not, and that's, I think, the takeaway from this, is that it's not a failing on your part. It's something that we all go through. It's part of the human experience, and it's part of our growth, and it's part of why we're here. To understand more about each other, about emotions, about the way that people interact with each other. So, again, I don't think that it's going to be something that lasts more than a day. But, and it might be in relation to that sun and moon conjunct in Scorpio, and then Pluto and Jupiter and Saturn all kind of moving through in Capricorn in succession. That's a sextile energy, but it's going to be a lot going on. It's a lot of moving parts at that time. And as I was saying, if it ends up being a federal or global matter that involves shared resources, people are going to have opinions about that. People absolutely will have their own opinions about it, and they will think that it's important to talk about it, whether it is important or not. So, is there anything else that I need to talk to Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising about for the week ahead? You're getting off scot-free this time, Capricorn. That's it for you. Good luck. Hello, Aquarius. And how are you today? Have you been holding up okay? It's been a very busy week for everyone here on planet Earth. There's been a lot going on, especially in the United States, but I think a lot of places there's been a lot going on. Aquarius, you don't have any specific ephemera showing up this week, but there is a new moon on Saturday and Sunday, overnight, and that is a Kazemi moon, which means sun and moon are conjunct. And there's going to be some movement with some Capricorn transits. Capricorn, Pluto Capricorn, Jupiter Capricorn, and then Saturn Capricorn, and that's all going to be happening over the weekend. And then on Friday the 13th, Mars is going to go direct. So that is what is most pressing. The moon will start out in Libra on Wednesday, and then by the next Wednesday, the 18th, it will be in Capricorn. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. What will be happening for you the week of the 11th through the 18th? So, one thing that came up in the Sagittarius reading is about this energy between Sagittarius and Aquarius of like mind expansion going on that is kind of alienating you from your peer groups. So if you want to hear more about that, if you have a close friend who is an Aquarius or has Aquarius placements that are really strong, or if you have strong Sagittarius and Aquarius placements, you should go and watch the Sagittarius part of the video. Aquarius, the water bearer. I smell like the way that cold water smells. Cold water, cold bracing water. Star energy showing up for you in your reading here this month, where you're like skinny dipping in cold water and just goose pimpling up the skin like crazy, and something just really bracing. It is starting to get cold up here in the northern hemisphere. Now, of course, like California never gets cold, so I'm sure that there are places where it's been snowing since March, but I kid. This in particular is related to, water bath. It's like a baptism, like you're doing this for purification reasons. I feel like this is salt water, possibly. Or if it's not salt water, because it doesn't taste like salt water. It could be selenite water, like you've dissolved selenite in it and it's really cold. It's hard to keep things dissolved in cold water. So it could just be very filtered water, like not a lot of minerals in it, just totally filtered, deionized water. No, not deionized. It's not deionized, but it has been like charcoal filtered. What's the deal with this water, this purification ritual that you're going through? And then you get out and you put on like this, it's either linen or a woven cotton, roughly woven garment, but very soft. So it's like chunky weave, chunky yarn woven into this fabric, but it's a very soft fabric against your skin. And then you start to warm up, and I feel like you're in some kind of ice palace. So that's where this purification rite has been taking place. Reminds me a lot of things that I've come to understand from Chaco Canyon. That kind of purification, but not in the same kind of building. This is almost in like I said, some kind of ice structure. Could be an Icelandic ritual of some kind, but not necessarily the case. This could just be this. It doesn't feel as much like a cultural thing as a cult thing. And it doesn't have to be like a cult, as in like, it's more like a sect. But it doesn't feel like an ancient ritual, although it's kind of based on ancient rituals, right? It's based on ancient rituals, but this is not a terribly ancient ritual. This is just kind of a purification there's not any modalities to it. Like, you're not using psalms, you're not using chakra energy. You might not even be. I do hear something about divine white light coming down from the Creator. Cosmic energies, floating in this water bath, and you're freezing. I mean, we're talking like involuntary shivering, lips turning blue. But you're not, I mean, it's shallow water. It's not like you're gonna drown or die or something. But it's like part of this kind of ritual that you're going through. And if this is not like exactly the ritual that you go through, there's going to be an alchemical process that occurs within the self that mimics this process. And you're going to come out on the other side of it. What is it? Yeah. So when the moon enters Capricorn on Tuesday the 17th, and it's not specific to that, like it's not happening because the moon enters Capricorn, and that's going to occur around 8:35 or 11:35 in the morning in the United States, but you might not be in the US. But it's not because the moon enters Capricorn. It's just going to happen around that time. It's going to be the rendering of that process into yourself. What else do I need to tell Aquarius? Oh, okay. So, if you are able to, like, over that weekend, starting on the Friday the 13th, if you're able to plan, like, any big, things that need to get done, if you're absolutely able to, like, not do that, because this alchemical process, for those of you who aren't physically going to a location and taking part in a physical ritual, for those of you who are just going to be undergoing alchemical transformation over the weekend, be very gentle with yourself and don't expect too much out of yourself, because you're going to be going through this thing and you're going to be like, I feel so weird, I feel so cold, like I've put on 5 sweatshirts and I'm still freezing, I feel wet, and you'll have like these flashes of like hyper alertness kind of going off. And it could be that you wake up at like weird hours and you're only able to get 2 hours of sleep at a time. There could be something like that going on for you this weekend. And it might be difficult. Oh, another thing is it might be difficult to communicate with other people about the mundane goings on of your existence at this time. So just bear all of that in mind. And is there anything else I need to tell Aquarius about this week, the 11th through the 18th? Pack warm clothes and like a hat. A hat is going to be crucial for you at this time, because you lose a lot of heat through your head. So make sure that you're not neglecting hats and socks, because that's where a lot of your heat is going to get lost. All right. Have a great week. Best of luck, and I'll see you soon. Hi, Pisces. How are you this week? You been having a good one? It's been very exciting for a lot of people. Very exciting. Good stuff, bad stuff. Finding out a lot about your neighbors. Any kinds of things you can think of going on right now. So Neptune is still in your sign. No changes there. And will be all of next year too. There will be a quincunx with Venus in Libra on Wednesday the 11th. And Venus in Libra is a romantic partnership energy. So with the quincunx, it could be a good time to act on some kind of romantic impulse. And romantic partnership parity as well, equalization. You're then going to have a quincunx with the moon in Libra, and that will kind of resolve all of that energy from Wednesday into Thursday morning. You're also going to have a trine when the moon goes into Scorpio. And moon in Scorpio is emotional or hidden things about death, sex, and other people's resources. It could be about things coming to light regarding other people's resources. It could be, it's a very like artistic energy, and you're going to be heading into the Kazemi moon that evening as well. So Neptune in Pisces trining the moon in Scorpio is going to be a good lead into that energy. And then the next placement for you is going to be on Monday, the 16th. There's going to be a square with the moon in Sagittarius. Moon in Sagittarius, again, a very artistic energy, and Sagittarius being about all these things that elevate us, the things we do to elevate our position, whether that's higher education or spiritual matters or travel. And because it is a mutable fire energy and you are a mutable water energy, there's going to be, it's a square, so there's going to be some conflict there, possibly. And then on Wednesday, there's a sextile with the moon in Capricorn and Neptune in Pisces, and that'll be resolving that energy. And Capricorn being level-headed, career-minded type of energy. So it could be like artistic, career-related action occurring at that time. And that's going to be around 3:30 or 6:30 in the evening on Wednesday the 18th. So Pisces, what is up for you this week? What are you getting into this week? Lots of trouble, I see. Could be a call out post. Ooh. There could be, and this came up in the Capricorn reading as well, so you could be calling out a Capricorn. But it doesn't have to be specific. You could definitely be vague posting this one. Or it could just be like you find yourself ranting to someone about something that just drives you up a wall. And they turn around and they say to you, well, I blah, 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 I do that thing. Or you notice them. Sorry, I'm going to scoot up a little bit, be a little bit closer to you, be a little bit closer, Pisces. I hope that's okay. And they're going to kind of get like quiet. And you're going to be like, what? What's the matter? And they're going to just be like, I think I have to go. I think I have to reevaluate my whole life because you just ended me right here. Something like that. And they don't have to be a Capricorn, but I'm definitely sensing this energy about like you just get totally fed up about something. And you're not the kind of person to usually like make drama about this kind of issue, but you just get so fed up that you just can't handle it anymore, and you just blow your top, so to speak, and just have like a big rant about it. And it's going to be like a rant. It's not like you're burning down the Colosseum or anything like that. But you might notice that somebody around you is like very affected by what you've said. But I don't think you're going to feel bad about it. I think you're going to feel justified and not feel like you need to apologize. So don't apologize because that's how you feel about it. And it's important to be true to yourself if you have something to say, and if that thing that you have to say is important. So, you know, it's okay to have opinions, basically. What else do I need to tell Pisces? Sun, moon, and rising. Stay hydrated. It's tea season. That's what I was telling Taurus too, I think. Drinking lots of hot water. Hot water. Hot water. Can't you see? I'm in the kitchen and I'm making some tea. Hot water, it must be. Hot water, hot water. Anyhow, sorry about singing that song. I'm not really, but sorry for those of you who found it distracting. Yeah, I think Pisces is another sign. Virgo's reading was very short this week because they're basically about to go into hibernation. So if you have strong Virgo placements and also strong Pisces placements, I think a lot of you are going to be getting very cozy for the next few months and not really worrying too much about trying to get out and do things. Kind of going into hibernation mode, a lot of you, especially in the northern hemisphere. Probably not as much in the southern hemisphere because you're going to be going into summer, but I'm getting a lot of relaxation energy for you. Mostly over the next week for Pisces, though. Virgo, I think, is holding up for like a good 3 months. But anyway, this is the Pisces reading, and I apologize for digressing. Oh. Hold on. You might be cleaning your fridge out and finding like a lot of stuff that's kind of like expired and dried out. Nothing too gross though. So if you've been thinking about cleaning out your fridge and you're afraid that it's going to be just totally nasty, I would go ahead and just do it. Because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised as to not having the most disgusting fridge that ever did happen. And it might be one little thing that you can do to kind of ground yourself during this time. So like, you know, be nice and relaxed, but then spend a couple hours one day cleaning out your refrigerator and letting that be you know, like a nice activity that just kind of gives your life momentary purpose. Is there anything else that I need to tell Pisces at this time? No, I think that's it. That's it for you this week, Pisces. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day. So, thank you for joining me today for your November 11th through November 18th crystal scrying forecast. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. Unless you're that person from the Gemini segment who was telling me that everything I say is fake. Yeah, it is. This is for entertainment purposes. You either get something out of it or you don't. I'm not taking anything away from anyone else. I wish the best to all of you. I really do. And I'll just kind of run this selenite over your aura a few more times. I am still working on my giveaway. When I hit 1,000 subscribers, I will be giving away 3 free readings, so make sure that you fill out the form in the description box below if you're interested in possibly getting one of those. And again, I'm working on the 2021 yearly forecasts, so those should be starting to come out on Friday. They'll all be coming out this weekend. Take good care of yourselves in these interesting times. Stay hydrated, and I'll see you again